watching CramerSez.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project, and we are on night 2. We're hoping tonight goes a little bit smoother than last night. We had to work out some kinks, but we think we got that taken care of today. And tonight will be a little bit better, at least from the technical standpoint. I want to let you know, tonight's going to be a limited show. We're not going to go into a lot. We're working on a couple of investigations, and so that has taken some of our time to put together our show tonight. And we had the technical issues we had to get taken care of. But I want to let you know that if you like the thought of what we're doing, of a grassroots news service, it's not always going to be me up here. I want other people involved. I want other people's ideas. I want other people's news stories. And to make that happen, you've got to join us. So we're building the system to make that happen. You can do it over at the CramerSezProject.com. Go over there, learn what it's all about, sign up. We're just asking a few questions. Right now, we're looking for broadcast professionals that... That's broadcast professionals, by the way. See it cut out. We know we've got a technical issue right there. So the people that we're looking for right now are people that have worked in broadcast like myself, that know how the system works, so we can move through what we need to do fairly quickly. We can do this in markets around the nation, and we can start delivering a nightly news service. This is down the road, of course. Not tomorrow, but down the road, a nightly news service brought to you by citizens, supported by citizens, not the mainstream media bullshit that we're being sold. You and I both know that you haven't heard of any serious investigation into any drug company or any pharmaceutical side effect in 20 years. Not a single one. Why? Well, because all of a sudden pharmaceuticals were allowed to advertise on TV. And the incentive to investigate for ratings, well, it was dissuaded by that big wad of cash that pharmaceuticals shoved down these mainstream media outlets' throats. So, said, let's get the show started.
After the loss of 2024 election, Democrats realized they had a masculinity problem. So they went out and got themselves a masculine man. His name is Graham Plattner.
Hey everyone, Graham Plattner here.
In politics, Graham Plattner is one of those guys we call the triple threat. He's got it all. Looks, the voice, and military experience. He's going to go places, except for one thing. That nasty little detail of a Nazi tattoo.
I want to talk to you about something. In 2007, when I was a young infantry sergeant,
Now, he goes on for a bit explaining exactly how he got it, where he got it, the guys he was hanging around with, and how drunk he was. But what he doesn't say is why he did this.
I have gone and gotten it covered up. Last night, I went to a tattoo parlor, and I got this to cover up the skull and crossbones.
Why would you cover it up? Why would you cover up a tattoo that means so much to you, your service to the nation? Why would you cover that up? You know why.
Every second we spend talking about a tattoo I got in the Marine Corps is a second we don't talk about Medicare for all.
Now, if you spend much time following politics, you've probably heard the old FDR saying that there's no such thing as a coincidence in politics. Now that you know this about Graham, the attack on Pete Hegseth's tattoo makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? You would think that a Nazi tattoo would make their candidate, the Democrat candidate, less popular with them. But no, just the opposite.
And your party is now in love with a guy with a Nazi tattoo who trained a left-wing paramilitary group and called himself an Antifa super soldier on the internet, and he's going up every day.
Democrats aren't winning the seat.
I hate to break the news to you, but he's winning the primary by 30 points.
Well, I think that's why he needs to get out.
Getting a Nazi tattoo made him more popular.
Jennings is right. The exact same Democrats who just months ago were lighting their hair on fire over Pete Hegseth's Christian Cross tattoo are now suddenly silent when their candidate has an actual Nazi tattoo emblazoned across his chest. Then you get this. The most DEI question you will hear this year. How does he possibly represent the entire Democrat Party?
Democrats to be who they are. This is who they are.
No, that is not
who they are.
No, it is
Why?
not.
Well, you're saying the Democrats are Nazis? Is
I'm
that
saying
what
it's very on brand right now. Very on brand.
Hold on one second. Hold on, Scott. Really, like, are you suggesting that, like, a person who wears a Nazi tattoo because he was in the military or whatever is representative of the entire Democratic Party.
You see, the Democrats are now realizing that their candidate has a Nazi tattoo problem, a real one, not a fake one like the one that they were trying to pin on Pete Hegseth. No, their candidate had a Nazi tattoo emblazoned across his chest. He was so proud of it for so many years, and then he finally inked it all in and made it look like something different because he knew that it was going to be a problem. And they're asking the question of whether he represents the Democrat Party. Yes, he does. How do I know? Because they're voting for him to be their representative. Are you a fucking moron?
You're watching the CramerSez Project. Global news with local views. CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
Last week in our We Told You So series, we warned GM investors that CEO Mary Barra was bad for business. We were right. Barra's love affair with EVs just cost stockholders $1.6 billion as GM takes a massive loss after Biden subsidies come to an end. Then, Paul Chesser reported Bank of America had no problem debanking conservatives.
This is an issue that NLPC's been investigating since the story broke,
but refused to expose Jeffrey Epstein's financial activity.
During the January 6th uprising, Bank of America scrubbed through its data and turned over credit card information without being asked, without being subpoenaed, without having a warrant given to them by federal law enforcement. At the same time, they were doing business with Jeffrey Epstein without question. And then after Epstein died, they suddenly realized, we need to report this activity. And they filed 2 suspicious activity reports, as they should have done when Epstein was still alive and still banking. But they didn't do so. They were basically covering up the business that Epstein was conducting.
But wait, there's more. NLPC Chairman Peter Flaherty is calling for the indictment of John Brennan, the ex-CIA director who pushed the Russia collusion hoax, relied on the discredited Steele dossier, and lied to Congress.
According to the House Judiciary Committee, John Brennan committed crimes. We believe there's even more to the story, and we're going to stay on top of it.
That was last week. What's NLPC working on next? Find out by subscribing to the NLPC on this platform, or by visiting us at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it, please visit thecramersezproject.com.
CramerSez.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. Can you believe what CNN's trying to push on you? How they're trying to gaslight you that simply having a Nazi tattoo on your shoulder, does that mean that you think that represents the entire Democrat Party? Yes. Yes, it does. When those people are being asked by the Democrat Party to vote for that guy to represent them, absolutely. Yes, he does represent the Democrat people, the Democrat Party. He represents you. You did that. You voted for him. You put him in a position where you said, he's the guy we want you to vote for to represent all of us against those other guys. The guy that's got the tattoo. Now, apparently he's inked it in. There's some rumor online that that's not quite the case, is that he's covered it up somehow. And we'll see how that plays out later on if he wins or loses. But folks, the Democrats are in trouble, and that's what Scott Jennings was opening up. They've got a bunch of stupid people on the Democrat Party. They're so stupid to this point that they believe that you're going to just keep toeing the line and allowing them to be stupid without opening your mouth. Folks, it's time. You have the freedom to say it. This is the country to say it in. You can look at them and go, what the fuck are you talking about? They gaslit us for how many years? Told us that we were the problem, that we were the issue, that it was us. It wasn't us. We just wanted the borders closed. We didn't want our education system invaded by a foreign plague that comes in and takes up all the resources without offering anything back. Oh, they work in the community and they're here illegally. You wouldn't allow the same thing to happen in your home. I don't care what your political ideology is. You would not allow someone into your home and just take up residence and think it's fine. You know better than that. Don't try to pee on my leg and convince me that I'm the one that has a problem with you saying you're peeing on my leg. There's no even mention of rain. You pee on people's legs and then look and go, what do you mean? I'm not peeing on your leg. Yes, you're doing it right now. No, I'm not, man. I'm not doing that. That's the Democrat Party today. That's what Jennings is doing over at CNN, opening some eyes. Now, folks, you've got to start doing the same thing. You've got to start opening your mouths when you hear this bullshit going on at the water cooler or the cocktail party or whatever, and you've got to start having the courage to speak up. We've got a problem in this nation right now. One of them, and it's a major one, is that are our roads safe? Can we be guaranteed that all the drivers on our roads can speak the language and understand our laws and can understand the language and can communicate with law enforcement or others? I mean, just imagine you've got a big 18-wheeler or a bigger type of vehicle going down the road and all of a sudden you've got a problem. And how do you communicate with those around you if you don't speak the fucking language? If you don't even know how to speak Spanish? I mean, you don't have to speak English. America has opened up and said, okay, we'll allow Spanish on everything. So if you can at least speak Spanish, you can communicate in this country. They can't even do that. If you can't read the language and you can't speak the language, what are you doing here? You're not assimilating. You're not becoming part of the melting pot that we have here in America. What are you doing? You're a leech. Now, people get upset when you say stuff like that, and I can understand that because they've got, people that they like that I'm talking about right now, but objective truths are objective truths. If you can and suck off the system and you don't give anything back, if it costs more to have you here than you bring to the table, you're a leech. Well, Kramer, how are you doing it? I'm going to put these group of people, these people that are here illegally, that are driving on our roads, that don't speak our language, that don't understand our laws, that I'm going to put them in the same category as the Democrats earlier. The same exact stupid group of people. They want us to believe that it's okay, that it's fine. You have to jump through hoops. You have to obey the law. Why don't they? And why are states like California and others allowing this to happen? You know why. It's not for the love of this nation. It's for just the opposite. When I first heard what the Cloward Piven strategy was, I go, oh, there's nobody on this planet that's that evil. Yeah, there are. I've even shaken hands with some of them. You get old enough and you rise up enough politically, you'll meet the people that we talk about when they say they did this or they did that. That's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. I've walked amongst them, not us. These people that are selling us out left and right, they are not us. They don't have our same values. They don't care about this country. They only care about one thing. Power, in any form that it comes in. They don't care what it is. If it's leverage, they're good with that. If it's money, they're good with that. If it's tyranny, they're good with that. And one of the things that they refuse to allow themselves to be is investigated. As I said when I opened up, when was the last time that you heard of a pharmaceutical company being investigated by one of the major networks for the side effect of some drug? Now, we know there are side effects, but why have we stopped seeing those investigations? Well, simple. Pharmaceuticals are the biggest advertisers in this nation. That's right. They outpace automotive like almost 2 to 1. So they control the narrative. I've worked in broadcasting my entire life. Let me explain something to you. When you do something the advertiser doesn't want you to do, guess what happens? The advertiser tells your boss, and your boss walks in and says, you've got a choice. You can either make a stand or you can pay your mortgage next month. I've made the choice on several occasions to go, okay, it's not a big enough one to even worry about. Whatever. Yeah, we'll get it next time, champ. Right? There's other times that on principle, no, I can't do that. I got to walk. For that to happen, folks, we've got to get back to a news service that understands what journalism and truth is. Truth is not what you believe, it's what the facts are. It's not what side you're on. It's not what group you're with. It's not what acronym you're sponsored by. It's the facts. The facts don't lie. They stand on their own. You see, I've said this for a long time that lies need support. Lies need the media, they need Hollywood, they need press agents, they need all kinds of support. The truth needs nothing but itself. It sits there stark, the truth. It's a paper or a document sitting somewhere in a safe that says, what you're saying is a lie. Here's the proof. That's what they hate the most. Think about the money that has to be spent in this country to defend these lies that we've been told for the last 60, 70 years. Maybe even since the beginning of this nation, the formation of this country, they were lying to us. How do we know? What I do know is that we have an opportunity right now to change things. And the way that we do that is we utilize the technology that's here. It's never been easier to broadcast to the entire planet. I've heard my entire life, the revolution will not be televised. If I have anything to do about it, that's a lie.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local.
From the halls of Congress
Across the nation.
and around the globe. You're getting the latest news and conservative views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views. CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
Call it the wedding of the woke. Billionaire heir Alex Soros just tied the knot with Hillary Clinton's longtime enforcer, Huma Abedin, in an ultra-exclusive ceremony that was about as subtle as a BLM riot with bottle service.
It was quite an event. It took place on Shelter Island, which is off Long Island. You can't get there unless you're very rich. The event was attended by 2 former presidents, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. And of course, Hillary was there.
Translation: if you don't own a private jet, you're not on the guest list.
This event took place behind a phalanx of security, ironically, on Saturday, the same day when the Soros Foundations were bankrolling the so-called No Kings demonstrations around the country.
You heard that right. While the elite were toasting with Veuve Clicquot, Soros-backed protests were lighting the streets because nothing says no kings like a family that buys district attorneys and throws $14 million weddings guarded like a royal fortress.
This violence in the streets, well, it's not spontaneous, and the American people deserve to know who's behind it.
While the media gushes over the dress, the venue, and the guest list, NLPC is tracking the dollars, right from the Soros empire to the streets.
We are identifying the money flows between the Soros Foundation and the activists who are conducting these protests.
You may not know our name, but since 1991, the National Legal and Policy Center has investigated and exposed more crime and corruption than any other political watchdog group in the country. Period.
And with your help, we're going to get at the truth.
Like, follow, and share to be notified about any updates on this story and more. Or get in-depth reporting from the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
Analyst Harry Enton. Harry, we saw the troops. We talked about air traffic controllers. Not clear their pain will end the shutdown. One thing that might end a shutdown is political pain if parties start to feel that it's hurting them. So let's talk about that, starting with Republicans. How has the shutdown seemed to have affected their political standing?
Yeah, you might think, given that the Republicans are in charge of both the House and the Senate, that a government shutdown might actually hurt the Republican brand. But in fact, it hasn't. If anything, it's been helped a little bit. Take a look here, the shift in net popularity versus pre-shutdown. When we're looking at the Republican Party overall, that brand actually up 2 points. That's within the margin of error, but clearly it hasn't dropped. Come over to this side of the screen. Look at the net approval ratings for Republicans in Congress. It's actually up 5 points since pre-shutdown. So what we're seeing here is the Republican brand in Congress has actually improved somewhat compared to where we were pre-shutdown, despite the fact that Republicans control. And that's the math that John Thune and Mike Johnson are looking at is, well, hey, why should we give, an electorally speaking, when our brand has actually improved a little bit?
Now, we say their position is getting better. With whom?
Yeah, okay, with whom? So I think it's two groups that it's so important to keep an eye on. All right, changing the Republican Congress's net approval rating versus pre-shutdown. It's rallying the base for sure. Look at this, the net approval rating up 12 points versus pre-shutdown. But it's not just with the base. It's also with the middle of the electorate. Look at this. Among independents, it's up 8 points as well. So we've got a situation here where Republicans with the shutdown are actually rallying their base, but it's also something that's not hurting them with the folks in the middle. If anything, it's helping them with folks in the middle. And this is the type of math that if you're Republicans, you like to see, right? Because something could rally the base but alienate those in the middle, or something could rally those in the middle but alienate the base. But the truth is, we're not seeing that. What we're seeing is the Republican brand has actually gotten better among independents, and it's also gotten better among Republicans as well, that Republican brand when it comes to those in Congress. So again, what's the electoral reason that Republicans would give in at this point?
And Democrats, of course, they have their eyes on midterm elections. Yeah, we have elections 1 week from today, but what Democrats in Congress are mostly focused on are 1 year and 1 week from today from the midterm. So how are they positioned right now?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, the generic congressional ballot, which traditionally Democrats have done really well on, and if you look at this point back when Trump was president the first time around, Democrats are up 11 points. Look at where it is now. Democrats are ahead, but they're actually only up 3 points. This is, in fact, the worst position Democrats have been on in a generic ballot at this point in midterm when there was a Republican president in the last 20 years. And this is no different from pre-shutdown. So Republicans aren't losing on this metric either. They become more popular, and they're actually in a pretty good position for them historically when it comes to the generic congressional ballot.
This is a concerning number for Democrats, are you saying?
This is a concerning number for Democrats because it's considerably worse than they traditionally do in midterm elections when there's a Republican president.
Harry Enton.
CramerSez.
It's the worst they've been in how long? Yeah. Why? Because of their policies. Trying to convince you that boys can be girls. Trying to convince you that all of that is okay, that that's not kind of some kind of illness, and that you need to shut up. You're the person that has the problem. That's why their popularity is waning. What Trump is doing is working. The imagery that you're seeing across social media, folks, that's all paid for. Everything that you're seeing, you know, all the videos of, hey, look, my buddy deported and he didn't do anything besides being an illegal alien. Well, it's the besides part that we have a problem with. We welcome it into this nation. I don't want people thinking that we don't like immigrants. I mean, almost everybody here, well, everybody here except the Native Americans are from somewhere else originally. All of us. Think about that. I think about it all the time. But the rules are the rules now. Not when my family got here. They keep changing the rules. Don't blame me that they changed the rules, that they tighten things up. I'm fine with the way things are right now. I think that we ought to start looking inward instead of looking outward. I think that we start looking at our own and how we can help our own. When you find out how much they're spending, money that goes to who God knows where around the planet, and then they turn around and tell you that you're not paying your fair share. Somebody on the other side of the planet, well, Ukraine here most recently, they were giving them, you know, the same kind of PPP thing they were pushing here in the country. But they did that continually after COVID. every month, $5 billion just to pay, you know, the expenses of running their government every month. Couldn't pay that just one time to get the southern border wall done in Trump's first term. Couldn't pay that $5 billion then. Oh, Cramer, it would have been more. Oh, well, that's because they're sending another $5 billion the next month to Ukraine. My point is even if it was $10 billion, $50 billion, $20 billion, they have no problem lying to you on a daily basis, folks. The media hates you. They detest you. I know because I came from that industry. But I never forgot my roots. I never forgot where I came from. I never forgot that, you know, at some point, it could all come to an end. It all could come crashing down. And I knew that because it had early in my career. I had a great career. I started out as a young man in broadcasting. I was on the air in Indianapolis, the 12th largest market in the country, at 16, doing a radio show on a top 40 station, 16. Yep. I've been blessed. I've had a great life. But I've also seen some really ugly stuff. When they talk about the Me Too movement, yeah, we're all part of that. That industry is full of it. I posted a picture the other day on Facebook that I think is hilarious. Woo, I used to have a head of hair. But I was thin, young, good looking, right? I was in media. There were a lot of homosexuals in media, a whole lot. Now, a lot of my friends, we joke about it because we're cool. We're from that era, right? I don't care what the fuck you do. What gets your rocks off does not make special, right? You want to do it, fine. Just don't press it on everybody else. I'm not out there walking out saying, hey, you know what I did last? Let me explain to you in detail what I did. Don't need to do that. That's not what my life is about. I do that when I want to or need to or whatever. But other than that, I don't fucking think about it. But this group, they do know because they're always on the prowl. At least the ones in media are. When I heard about the Weinstein stuff, folks, I knew it was a serious issue. I've been to the parties where that kind of shit has happened. And you say something, well, you lose your job. I did at a Janet Jackson party back in LA back in 90, maybe 96, 97, something like that. Whatever she released an album in the 90s. There was post 95, somewhere in that period. You know, got in trouble for it too. Was told that I would never be allowed to visit again, that the record rep, well, they had a problem with that. Imagine that. You go tell somebody what happened. You save a young lady, and you're the problem. Yes, folks, it's ugly out there, and what Trump is doing is working. It's working, and CNN and all the others are having to bite their lips and report the news because it can't be pushed away anymore. It can't be reimagined that something else is going on. Meanwhile, their dogs, the NGOs, Soros, Reed, Gates, the rest of them, what are they doing? They're pouring on the heat. More money into the protest, more money onto the fire. They have to do that because that's all they have. And what are they bitching about now? They're bitching about a renovation at the White House. Trump's going to he's going to put a wildly too huge ballroom. He'll probably put his name across it emblazoned in red, white, and blue, and it's going to be horrific. Have you seen what Obama is building? I based on what I've stayed in Trump hotels, they are very nice. They're pricey, but they are very nice. There's exactly what you'd expect they would be. Not the same, I don't feel, for a hotel that Obama would build. Have you seen the horrific building that he's building? Horrific. What Trump's doing is working. Now, here's the thing, folks. There's a conversation over and over and over again that in the event that something happens to Trump, the jig is up. You realize that, right? And there's been a lot of conversation about this. Trump knows that he's constantly under threat. Years ago, I was in a negotiation for work, and every decision that that my remaining with this company hinged on was on the life of one guy. And what I mean by that is he had to stay alive for me to stay there. And I told him, he was the boss. And I said, listen, Mickey, I said, I understand that in the event that you pass away for a reason, Tim over here and the rest of them, all the other partners, they want to sell. Now, if they sell right after you die, I've been here for 7 years and I have no guarantee. Are you crazy? I can't do this. This other company over in Cincinnati is offering me longevity with the company. He goes, well, what's the problem? I'm never going to sell. Tim, Mickey gets hit by a bus tomorrow. What are you guys doing? Tim solved the problem for me because he was honest. He goes, we're selling. There was millions on the line. They wanted to get out. What Trump is doing is working. That puts us in the same situation, folks. What Trump is doing is working, and they know it. They have no options. The only option they have is to lash out. The only option they have is to be the violent animals they've proven themselves to be. It doesn't pleasure me to say that my fellow Americans are sick fucks. That's not what I wanted to do in my older years, my golden years. No, today the reason I'm doing this is because this country is safe for my granddaughters to grow up in. Not safe for my grandson to inherit. It's not safe. I am not leaving a better place than I inherited. I intend to help change that. What Trump is doing is working. That's what you've got to understand. Everything that you're seeing, the government shutdown, why are they doing it? He keeps winning and winning and winning and winning. He keeps shutting this down and doing this. He is reforming the government. He is reforming the world. Folks, he is moving heaven and earth right now. The media is not reporting it. Look at where he's going around the planet, welcomed. Why? Because he's making the changes that he promised to make. A politician who actually did what they said they were going to do. Imagine that. And for that, the people who have been leeching off of us, siphoning off of us, stealing from us, what are they going to do? Well, they're pigs at the trough. When the trough goes empty, they're the ones that whine the most. Of course, they're going to start whining. That's what's happening right now. Now, pigs, they whine. Babies, they cry. Teenagers, they pout and move around and burn down little buildings and kill animals. But adults take to the streets and riot and loot and start causing problems and say that you're the issue. That's where we are right now. They're doing that for one reason. What Trump is doing is working. They have no other recourse. None. It doesn't stop, folks. It doesn't stop. CNN and others in the mainstream media are having to bite their lips as they see the GOP's value go up. Why? Because everybody on the planet can see what's going on. That Democrats are keeping this government shut down for one reason and one reason only. They want violence in the streets. Those that accept the EBT cards, that have the EBT cards, have taken to social media to tell you what is coming next. And when people tell me what they're willing to do when they feel threatened, I take them at their word. You should too.
The CramerSez Project will return
After this important message. Last week in our We Told You So series,
we warned GM investors that CEO Mary Barra was bad for business.
we were right.
Barra's love affair with EVs just cost stockholders $1.6 billion as GM takes a massive loss after Biden subsidies come to an end. Then, Paul Chesser reported Bank of America had no problem debanking conservatives.
This is an issue that NBC's been investigating since the story broke.
But refused to expose Jeffrey Epstein's financial activity.
During the January 6th uprising, Bank of America scrubbed through its data and turned over credit card information without being asked, without being subpoenaed, without having a warrant given to them by federal law enforcement. At the same time, they were doing business with Jeffrey Epstein without question. And then after Epstein died, they suddenly realized, we need to report this activity. And they filed 2 suspicious activity reports, as they should have done when Epstein was still alive and still banking. But they didn't do so. They were basically covering up the business that Epstein was conducting.
But wait, there's more.
NLPC Chairman Peter Flaherty is calling for the indictment of John Brennan, the ex-CIA director who pushed the Russia collusion hoax, relied on the discredited Steele dossier, and lied to Congress.
According to the House Judiciary Committee, John Brennan committed crimes. We believe there's even more to the story, and we're going to stay on top of it.
That was last week. What's NLPC working on next? Find out by subscribing to the NLPC on this platform,
Or by visiting us at nlpc.org.
Introducing Tusk.
With Tusk, you get uncensored news and secure browsing.
All while protecting your privacy.
Choose the news you trust and take control of your internet.
Join the free speech revolution with Tusk.
Download Tusk today at tuskbrowser.com.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
Please visit thecramersezproject.com.
Kramer says.
I don't know about you, but I want to know. I want to know what happened in 2016. I want to know if, being spied upon is a common thing by your government. I want to know that. I want to know what the FBI was doing starting in 2016. In fact, I probably want to know what they were doing back in 2014 fucking around in Ukraine. I know that you probably want to know that. Oliver Stone did a film about that, a couple of those. So those are things that I want to know about. I want to know. I want to know what happened in 2020. I want to know what happened with the election. I want to know for sure that what I saw Ruby and her daughter doing down in Atlanta, Georgia, that I had to be mistaken as I watched her run those ballots through the machines time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. The media is not going to give you these stories, folks. They're not going to investigate. There's no incentive. Don't you want to know? Don't you want to know about COVID? Did you have a loved one who died? I did. My dad did. Took his booster and 3 weeks was dead. 3 weeks later, I want to know. Are the vaccines, are they safe or are they causing harm? Should they be put into the waste bin of history or should we promote them because they work? I want to know. Don't you want to know? If it was all bullshit, don't you want to know that too? Don't you want to know lying to you? And if they're lying to you now, don't you want to know? I want to know. I want to know if the vaccines across the board are safe. I want to know if they're safe for my grandchildren, if they're safe for my new grandson. I want to know. How about you? You want to know for your grandchildren? You want to know for your children? Don't you want to know who's on your roads? Don't you want to know that the people that are on your roads are actually certified and know the language and know the laws? Don't you want to know that that's the case? And if they're not, don't you want to know that too? Don't you want to know? I do. I want to know these things. Not because I'm a nosy Nancy, but because I'm tired of being lied to. I don't trust anything that I'm told. We saw during the riots that, hey, this is mostly peaceful. There's no problems going on in here. Don't you trust your lying eyes. You trust us. We're CNN, the most trusted name in news. Yeah, this bullshit right here, all these fires, mostly peaceful for the most part. But MSNBC wasn't any better. They're not going to report on these issues. They're not going to report on if the new drug coming out of this drug company or that drug company actually meets the standards or anything. They're not, because the pharmaceutical companies are the #1 advertisers in this nation. They're not going to do it. They're not going to go and investigate Daddy, who's paying them millions not to investigate. They're not going to do it. But don't you want to know? Don't you want to know about Burisma and Hunter Biden and the Biden, family and what they were doing with those 20-some companies? Isn't that interesting? I've had one company name. I've worked all over the planet. One not even an LLC. It's an S corp. One. And I've made millions all over the planet. Did not need 22 shell companies. And I can show you in our records and in our products what we produced. The TV commercial or the marketing concept or whatever we delivered, whatever the collaterals for that project were, it says in the agreement, these are the things that we're going to do, here's how we're going to deliver it, and here's the product of what we did. I have proof. The Bidens don't. They've got millions. They didn't produce shit. And they're trying to lie to us about it. I want to know. Don't you want to know? That's what we've been talking about with the CramerSez Project for the last 2 years. I want to know. I want to know what these motherfuckers who are telling me that I'm not paying my fair share are doing with my money. I want to know. And it's my right to know. They work for me. I work with a lot of politicians. I talk to a lot of politicians, and every once in a while, I have to jerk their chain and let them know I'm the boss. I'm the citizen. You are not above us. You're below us. You're a servant. You're just above a slave. You're in between. You're free, but we tell you what to do, not the other way around. Your dictates about what kind of fuels we should be cooking with, we're not cool with that. You better start backing off that shit. What we can do here and there and what we can do with our own property. We've worked our entire lives to buy a piece of land. Excuse me, a bug just went down my throat. We go through and we buy this piece of land. And the EPA thinks that they have the authority, the power, they have the audacity to tell me what I'm going to do with my land after I toiled for 30 years. They're going to try and tell me. Folks, we've got to get to the point where we enough is enough. And it doesn't happen until these people that have been doing what they've been doing are held accountable. And there's only one way that that happens. It's by knowing. I want to know. I want to know what's going on. And I'm one of those people that when I know what's going on, I'll tell you. Right? That's the way I've been. I don't have anything to hide. There's no reason to hide it. I didn't do that. You didn't do that. But isn't it interesting that they did and then tried to blame it on them? Don't you know? Don't you want to know that kind of information? That's what I want to know. That's what the CramerSez Project is all about. We want to know. We want to know what's going on. And the way that we're going to do that is build a network of reporters and citizen journalists across the country that just want to know. If you're good at research, you don't have to be good on camera. You don't have to be slick-backed hair and, good looking me to be able to be on camera. You don't have to be all that. If you're a good researcher, if you're a good cameraman, if you're an editor, if you're whatever you do that can help the cause, we'd appreciate it because this grassroots movement is needed. We only have 3 years left, if that. All the specialists are expecting civil war to break out at some point. Folks, they've told us for the longest time that the revolution will not be televised. They're absolutely right. We've seen what happens. We need to know that we can get the truth out there. Now, I don't like being the purveyor of bringing the dark clouds all the time. I go to a party and walk in and people go, oh my God, he's here. Oh no, here goes the doom and gloom. But I think it's funny. I think it's interesting. I think that we're in a time in history where we have the opportunity to turn things around, and we're going to find out those amongst us who are really what and who they say they are. Are they really as brave as they're claiming they are? They want us to believe that they are? Are they really the patriot that they want us to believe they are? Folks, I'm going to be real blunt with you. I started to talk about the truck driving issue that we've got in this nation, and we've got to get this under hand. And so one of the first documentaries that we want to dive into is looking at what's going on our roads. Now, I've been on Sean Duffy's show a couple times, he and his wife's show a couple times. I'm sure we can get a meet up with Sean Duffy and get his insight. But I think that it's time that the American people have a channel that goes directly to these people, don't you? So if you're a trucker and you've seen what's going on and are willing to go on camera, we're not doing this bullshit of people hiding behind miscellaneous this and that. No, if you're an American and you're concerned, it's your responsibility to stand up and defend your individual rights as an individual. You can't do it in the shadows. You can't expect somebody else to do it for you. You've got to come forward and do it. That's what we're looking for. If you're a truck driver, if you work in the system, if you're seeing how it's being decayed from within by what's going on in California and other liberal states, we want to know. Hit us up at support@CramerSez.com. That's support@CramerSez.com. We'll be right back.
Global news with local views. Kramer Says returns after this message from our partners.
Franklin D. Roosevelt said,
"In politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can be sure it was planned that way."
I don't make a habit of quoting FDR, but on this point, he's 100% right, which makes Vice President Vance's comments from last night even more important to pay attention to.
The only way to honor Charlie is to get to the bottom of exactly how this person was radicalized and who else was involved in it.
Hi, I'm Peter Flaherty, chairman of the National Legal and Policy Center. Since 1991, the NLPC has investigated and exposed the high crimes and misdemeanors of politicians and corporate leaders alike. Our mission is about one thing: accountability, not partisanship, just like Vice President Vance was talking about last night.
That is political terrorism, but it's not just the people who are killing the cops. It's not just the people who are engaging in throwing the Molotov cocktails and in the riots. Where was the money coming from? Who was organizing this violent activity? That is not going after Democrats unless, by implication, you're saying every single Democrat is involved in planning political violence.
For the past several years, NLPC has focused on who's funding the violence on our streets and the radicalization of our kids. Oddly, the same names keep popping up. Names like Soros, Hoffman, and Gates. The protests and the riots aren't happening by accident. The violence is not spontaneous. The left strategy is clear: encourage arson, vandalism, and looting, and then blame the violence on the law enforcement response. The protesters are well-funded and equipped, and the NLPC is digging deep into exposing those responsible for supplying these groups with the masks, shields, and other devices being used to perpetuate violence in the name of social justice. To learn more about our mission or to join it, follow and share us on this social media platform or visit our website, nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
Please visit thecramersezproject.com.
Kramer Says.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the Kramer Says Project, and for the last 2 years, we have been working on how to gather Americans together to start talking about what our country can actually be. How do we do what the left did so well in gathering people together and actually get something done? That's what we've been talking about. Now, you'll hear comments from the left that, oh, this is that group and they're that part of this or that. No, we are grassroots. I started it, I run and everything. There's nothing behind it except me and my desire to leave a better world for my grandchildren than was left to me. And I can't do that right now the way the nation is. It's not going to get any better relying on the people who got it all fucked up to try and fix it. If they knew how, they would do it. The first one that figures that out, folks, they're going to be on the mountaintop. That's what we've got to realize this moment in history. It's not that, oh, COVID's over and now Trump's suddenly in and, oh, things glorious. No, we have an opportunity here. And the opportunity is to take this moment and understand, just looking at the numbers. We talked to Joe Hoft yesterday. He says that he believes that if we got a true test of what this country is, we would see that 80% of the people in this nation are conservative. 80%. We're told that we're the problem. We are not the problem. The media is made up of liberals. They control the narrative. They control what your children hear. They control what your children believe. That's their only hope. It's exactly what all dictators have done. Interesting that we call it programming, that you sit down and you're programmed. They have spent billions, if not trillions, on learning how to modify our thoughts and jump into our brains. I know that sounds like, scary Alex Jones shit, but it's true. What we've learned is that Alex Jones wasn't crazy. He just wasn't loud enough. He was a little he was a little off. He was brash. He wasn't polished like them, and he didn't bring it forward in the right way. No, he pissed off people, and so for that we got to go after him. That's what they do. As I've said for the last several years, nothing has changed since the playground. Nothing. The tactics of bullies have remained the same. So what they did to him, what they did to Joe Rogan. Think about that. Joe Rogan is sick during COVID, and what they put green shit on his face to make him even look worse because he was using horse paste. Then come to find out, Joe was right. They were wrong. Aren't you tired of this shit? I know I am. I was telling Joe that this is Joe Hoft yesterday. We talked in our show yesterday. A lot of these people I know. Either the people in front of the camera or behind the camera. I've been in this industry for 40 years, since I was a kid. 44 years, actually. It's all I know. And what I know is that there's a point right now we can change things. We can start our own network. It's not expensive. It's not tough. It just needs support. It just needs content. See there, the lights. Somebody didn't pay the light bill. If you want to join, get yourself over to the CramerSezProject.com, the CramerSezProject.com. If you're a trucker or work in the trucking industry and want to help us expose what's going on with the illegal aliens that don't speak our language, if you're not aware of what's going on, just in California, 62,000 illegals have CDL licenses, are on our roads across the United States, and they don't know how to speak the language, they don't know the laws, and they're here illegally. Shouldn't we find out what companies are hiring them and expose them? Shouldn't we Kramer, that'll raise prices. Well, as they say, we're all in this together. With that being said, thank you for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow night.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The Kramer Says Project goes live.